The Kliq owns this business.
Coming down the aisle, Bimbo Jimbo, baby Huey.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Give me a hell yeah. Today, I've got the style and profile like never before. It's showtime! Woo!
Live and in your face from our studios in undisclosed locations in San Francisco. This is In The Kliq. Bimbo Jimbo remotely once again alongside my tag team partner, Patient Zero Baby Huey. Hello and welcome again, everybody. We're still alive, pal.
See, Jimbo, you keep saying undisclosed locations in San Francisco. I'll break the fourth wall and I'll say I'm on the other side of the bay.
It's breaking. You're breaking undisclosed location rules. Now they have it narrowed down.
Well,
you fool! You don't even know where I'm at. I could be in Monterey. I could be in your house right now. Stay in your house, everybody. By the way, stay in your house. But yes.
But the East Bay is very big. I could be anywhere in the East Bay.
Still have narrowed it down, pal. Trying to help you out, and you ruined it. But yes, the microphone alchemist, Bimbo Jimbo, and Patient Zero Baby Huey alongside you once again here as we are going to be talking about Night 2 of WrestleMania 36. We are recording this on Sunday night immediately following the event. But before we get into Night 2, it was on my heart to go back and rewatch the Boneyard match because I saw all the reaction, all of the positive glowing reviews and how happy everyone was with it and everything like that. So I started to think to myself, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm wrong, and I am certainly willing to admit when I am wrong. I have no issue with that, and I am legitimately happy, as we discussed last night, that so many people did find enjoyment in it. But so it was laid heavy upon me that I came down so harshly on it, and I wanted to give it another rewatch. As I was discussing my own biases, which is important for us all to grow as people, to be aware of our own biases and prejudices and try and overcome them. And that's exactly what I did. So I went back and I rewatched the Boneyard match, and I do think I was too harsh on it. I think I was. In fact, I probably think I was incredibly harsh on the Boneyard match. Now, there are reasons for that because there are moments when I went back and watched it that totally put me back into that headspace, and I think that's why I judged it overall so incredibly harshly. It was jarring, the sort of Metallica song intro with The Undertaker out of nowhere, not being prepped for this kind of deal, that's what we were going to get, and just how sort of off-the-wall zany that was. But I was too harsh on that. I think that comes down to prejudice on my part against Undertaker. But what I will say is that if you take out all the supernatural stuff from it, in terms of the Boneyard match, pretty good, pretty damn good, honestly. A lot of the stuff they did really did work. It was well shot. The cheesy Undertaker appearing behind AJ, and even more so, I feel like him lighting, when AJ is trying to run away and him like bursting parts of the buildings into flames and stuff. That still, it was cringe. But the cringiest thing about it still were the OC and the Druids. Like that part, like those aspects of it were really, really awful. And that's why I judged it so harshly. Like the OC came off looking so awful that the Undertaker should have buried them in a couple of graves too, so they can be repackaged. Because I don't see them recovering from this, to be quite honest with you.
But they were just like goons, like your stereotypical goons from a B-level Cinemax or late night cable movie, action movie. They're just the goons that help back up the villain in the movie. So it was very, very comical what they were trying to do, and they weren't very effective. But I'm with you, Jimbo. I haven't rewatched it, but I saw some highlights on social media, and I slept on it. And I woke up today, and I was like, yeah, I enjoy most of it. I there's a lot of aspects to it, and I think just to re-say what I said last night was this match, I think, helped cover for Undertaker's age and what he can't do anymore in a wrestling ring anymore because of his older age. So I think this type of match and presentation helps cover and mask some of that stuff. And so I think for him, it kind of adds to his legend, especially if you're a hardcore Undertaker fan. It's something different that you haven't seen from him. So it gives you something else to add to his resume of accomplishments. So the match itself, like the actual grudge match or street match in the graveyard, that was entertaining, and I enjoyed the physicality the two of them, AJ and Undertaker, laid out. And yeah, I give a lot of props to AJ for putting his body out there to make Undertaker look good. And that's something you and I talked about many times in the build up to this match was AJ is definitely going to do his part to make Undertaker look good. And so overall, it was very enjoyed it. And yeah, I saw the social media people today posting stuff and still like on this high of how great that match was.
Okay. So yeah. This is not as good as everybody's saying it is on social media. I think this match was the perfect storm of people having extremely low expectations, both for the event overall and for this matchup. And, it exceeding those expectations was sort of snowballed into this sort of rose-colored glasses of a review for what it was. Mm-hmm. I do not like them trying to have it both ways with the Undertaker character, the fusion of him both being biker and supernatural, and the very feud itself revolving around his wife. That none of that still works for me, and to me took away from the presentation of what they were doing. But again, I do think I was overly harsh on it. It was okay. It wasn't better than the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. And dare I say, if you're going, I don't think it was necessarily better than what they did tonight in terms of the realm of out there stuff. But and I do think I judged it overly harshly because it wasn't Lucha Underground. And I have such a love and affection for Lucha Underground and what they did so well, and it is so much better than that. And then to see all these people come out of the woodwork and all of a sudden love that sort of presentation of wrestling when they refuse to bother and take the time to actually watch Lucha Underground, and now we don't have it anymore. That it sticks in my craw, for lack of a better term. But I do think a big hats off are deserved for Lucha Underground and Matt Hardy and for all those creative types that sort of came before this stuff that happened here at WrestleMania 36. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that match, and I mean, we'll talk about obviously the Cena Bray Wyatt match later, but do you think the fact that there was no crowd helped this match, the Boneyard match, stand out even more? Because we were at the pay-per-view with, what was it, Bray Wyatt, remember? And they had with Randy Orton, right? The match offsite.
The House of Horrors match, yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of people were complaining. It's like, we're sitting in an arena watching this on the screen. We're watching a match that's been pre-taped instead of watching in person. So I think a lot of people were complaining or had like that immediate negative bias.
That's always the catch-22 of doing matches like that. I'm sure. Yeah. People back in Anaheim at WrestleMania 12 had the same complaints. When they did the Boiler Room Brawl, they had the same complaints. It's always the catch-22 that you run, but since there were no fans in attendance, they could get away with doing it a lot more.
Absolutely. So I'm just curious, moving forward, is this something they're going to maybe tap into a little more often, or this is like one and done as far as with The Undertaker, or maybe moving forward, at least maybe once a year, they can kind of do more of these tape matches and have all these other moving elements involved. So that'll be yet to be seen. But
I think what they should do, or what they could do, is you have it on the network and just be like, hey, like over the weekend, Undertaker and Mankind had another Boneyard match or whatever, and then if the feud's continuing elsewhere, you can show a highlight of it on SmackDown or Raw or whatever you want to do. but you
Okay.
can make it destination programming for the network like they've done with so many other things.
Network special.
And that works. Then that gets around having a live audience sitting on their hands or having to watch it via the monitors and stuff like that. Now, I will say a lot of it, a lot of the in-arenas have some pretty good viewing capabilities of that. Certainly light years ahead of when they first started doing this, like in Anaheim or with the Boiler Room Brawl. But I just wanted to quickly touch on that I did rewatch it, and I have a little bit more of a fond review of the Boneyard match. It was entertaining. It was cringy in a lot of spots. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't as bad as I made it out to be either. It certainly, it wasn't the worst match in WrestleMania history. Like I was on my high horse trying to scream from the mountaintop. I was flying a little half-cocked, I'll admit it. It wasn't great. And the AJ Styles hand thing, still stupid. There's a lot of stupid there. But I'm glad so many people found so much enjoyment in it. It wasn't as good as people are saying, and it wasn't as bad as I was saying yesterday. But on to night 2 of WrestleMania 36. And the opening match, I think might have certainly in conversation for the best match of the whole weekend. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. I thought this was absolutely incredible. They came out there and they really busted their asses and put on a show. What an opener for night 2. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. It was a little awkward still for me, just how quiet it was. But I think as the match got going, they started being a little bit more vocal, and especially expressing themselves. And every hit, there was like the big slap and the scream, or just some sort of emotion that they're yelling out there. But I'm with you. I think they realized, hey, we're the opening match of the second night of WrestleMania, and we got to set the tone. Even with no crowd, we have to go out there and get people at home amped up. So I just enjoyed the hard hitting, the working of Charlotte working on Rhea's knee, and I mean, just even Rhea's outfit. You and I were talking about that beforehand, but just overall, I think they're two very athletic female competitors, and they just put it out there and delivered. And so, I'm with you. I really enjoyed it. And so, moving forward, Charlotte winning, I guess, wow, she's going to move over to NXT on Wednesday nights. And I think Wednesday nights business is about to pick up there. I think this is definitely a sign that NXT wants her star power on NXT now weekday or every week now, so go up against AEW. So I think that's definitely it shows NXT is taking Wednesday nights, or WWE is taking Wednesday nights seriously as far as competition with AEW. So
well, I think it'll be good for Charlotte too. I don't even look at the AEW side of it. I look at it as more of just a sort of nod that NXT is its own, entity. It's not an also-ran. It's not developmental anymore. It is its own brand, and I think this is a powerful statement that it is its own brand. I was rooting for Ripley, and I thought Ripley was going to win, but with this move, and hopefully it moving Charlotte, he would think with the NXT Women's Championship 2 Wednesday nights that, yeah, it's sort of an endorsement, a more full endorsement of NXT as equals. So it was surprising that Charlotte won. I hope that we get a rematch in front of just a full-throated capacity crowd, as I said on Twitter. That's what I want to see, because they really tore the house down. I just thought it was terrific stuff. And they had a tough act to follow with that, they being Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley. But I thought they did a good job too. Now, admittedly, this is not a match that I cared about coming into it. I didn't really see the point of this match being on the card. But taking that all out of it, they did well. They performed well. The expected winner, Aleister Black, but they put on a good match too.
Yeah, it was not a lot of build for it, unfortunately, because Bobby Lashley did some press overseas, and when he came back, they immediately put him in quarantine, and just as a precaution, and then he was able to make this WrestleMania match. But yeah, not a lot of build, and I think Aleister Black did something for WWE.com or something, just saying hey, Bobby Lashley's calling the Almighty, and I want to challenge him, because Aleister Black, his whole gimmick on Raw has always been just fight someone to fight him, and that's kind of he just feel like Bobby Lashley's the next person he wants to challenge. But yeah, Aleister Black getting the win, though. I'm happy. That's the right call. I think Aleister does have a bright future, especially on the Raw brand moving forward. So hopefully once things get back to normal, they can give Aleister Black more of a proper push. But yeah, I mean, just for the placement on the card, good filler match, hard hitting as well. Aleister Black, though, like I said, deserves getting that win. It was a little interesting, though, with this entrance with the casket or the, we want to call it the bench being brought up. That was a little bit interesting with no crowd reaction for that. But nonetheless, hey, it did what it did. And I'm kind of curious with Lana, Bobby Lashley, where do they go from here? Do they keep their romance on TV going? Does Rusev come back in the picture? He's been gone for a while. That I'm actually kind of curious where Bobby Lashley's going to go next with this.
I think it's criminal what they've done with Bobby Lashley and Rusev for that matter over the last little bit here. But Bobby Lashley deserves a big heel push, and I don't think him being paired with Lana is exactly it. But I want to talk about the next match, and this is one that, by contrast, has had one of the best, most organic builds heading towards WrestleMania, and one that I was certainly looking forward to. And I know I put this out there that of all the matches on WrestleMania, besides Edge and Randy Orton, this is the one that I wish we had a crowd for the most, and that's Otis and Dolph Ziggler for the heart of Mandy Rose and the soul of the WWE Universe, essentially, on the line here. But Otis and Dolph Ziggler, this one, I wish the crowd was there for it, because Otis has gotten such like a grassroots groundswell of support for him. But I thought this was a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the storytelling with the twists and turns with the love story. And, Otis triumphing here. I do think Otis's future is as a single star. He's got so much personality and everything like that I think that he can go beyond just being with Heavy Machinery. And this is seemingly like a good start with a in spite of no crowd, a big-time WrestleMania moment, defeating Dolph Ziggler and getting the girl and getting a kiss. I loved it. I love it. Great WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. That was something you and I were texting throughout this match. That's the one moment that I was like, oh, that kiss would have been so perfect in front of 70+ thousand fans in a stadium. Then for this match and how that match concluded with Otis getting a kiss from Mandy, I can imagine 70+ thousand fans popping so hard for him and celebrating that moment with him, cheering him on, and then getting that kiss and the crowd just erupting in celebration. That's my one little bummer for him, and I wish that could have happened in front of a crowd, because he deserves it the way the storyline's been playing out since pretty much the holidays as far as the love interest. And so I'm a little bummed. But I can imagine, like, maybe when like Macho Man proposed to Elizabeth and will you marry me? And the whole crowd and she said yes, and the crowd like erupting and cheering it on. I was like, that's the same type of emotion I expect the fan base. And I mean, in my head, I'm kind of like playing it out, that whole scenario, the ending, the finish. But just imagine in front of thousands of fans and just people cheering them on, and it could have been such like a really magical moment that moving forward, it could be shown over and over in these highlight packages for WrestleMania. So I'm with you. I'm a little bit bummed, but nonetheless, we still got it. It's on tape. They can, I'm sure, spice it up moving forward, how they edit it and show it. But I just want to ask you, though, what was Sonya's motivation in all this? Was she just disgusted that her friend was interested in Otis? Is that what it was? I mean, right? Come on. Like, I mean, real talk.
Her motivation, baby Huey, depends on what year it is and what era it's in. And I'm not going to say it now, but if it was the Attitude Era, we all know what the motivation would be. But it's a publicly traded company now. So the motivation is that Mandy was taking her eye off the ball with Fire and Desire, and Sonya wanted him gone. But that's all I've got to say about that.
Okay, because the episode of SmackDown that they showed was when Sonya was talking to Dolph. She said, "You're gonna get what you want, and I'm gonna get what I want." And I'm like, okay, so Dolph is gonna get the girl. So what does Sonya get after? It's just what her friend being eye on the prize as far as with their tag team and as them as a tag team. So that's my only thing. It's like, wow, she's going through a lot of trouble just to get her friend not to date some guy.
She's a schemer. She's a schemer.
But she doesn't want her friend dating one guy because she wants to focus on the tag team. But yet she's gonna help another wrestler get her. Like, she's helping her go from one guy to another. So Mandy's still going to be occupied with a guy's attention. So that's why I'm like, what's her motive? It was a little scratching my head a little bit.
Hey, it wasn't a perfect plan. I'll grant you that. Maybe Dolph was just going to love her and leave her. Maybe that was the move. He wanted to seal the deal and move on. Maybe that's the Faustian bargain that they were making.
But I do love it's very much felt like an 80s high school movie, as far as like Pretty in Pink or something, like where it's like the friend or maybe the not so popular guy.
Yeah, but Ducky doesn't get the girl in Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, I know, but like other movies similar to it. But I'm just saying,
lose, Ducky. You
she's
lose.
All that. Like the 90s movie, but you get.
I like not another teen movie. That's
yeah. But that's the thing. It's like the not so popular guy wants the popular girl.
Ducky, Tucky. Weird.
But
it's like we're looking at Wayne's basement. But that's not Wayne's basement. Sorry. I'm still coming out of the Firefly Funhouse, so my synapses are firing at random levels, taking me throughout moments of my life currently. We're going to get to that shortly, but I get what you're saying. That takes us to the last man standing match, Edge and Randy Orton. Edge's first WrestleMania in almost a decade after being forced to retire. This, of course, was the one that I think more than any other match needed a crowd. And I think had this been done under normal circumstances, I don't think you go to a last man standing match necessarily here to do Edge's first match back. I would have rather them had like a straight up one-on-one match. Maybe even that bastard Randy Orton manages to win said one-on-one match and the feud must continue, and then you get to the last man standing match. But that's not what happened, obviously, the unique circumstances that this WrestleMania had to take place in. But I think this was a lot of people's most anticipated match of the whole weekend. Obviously, WWE legend coming out of retirement, and, we're all so excited for Edge. And the build has just been, top-tier stuff from WWE. So I think a lot of the people that I've seen reacting to it online have been sort of negative about the match.
Yeah.
I am not so down on it. Do I think they went almost they went well over a half hour.
Yeah.
Do I think that there were some things that they could have cut out of it? Absolutely. Was it a little bit slow to get going? Well, I mean it started off hot, but then there were some sort of more plotting parts that I think they could have cut down on. But I think what they really needed was more trash talking, more noise, more talking throughout would have benefited this a lot, given the nature of the feud, especially, and just how personal it was. I love the F-bomb from Edge, though. I thought this had a tremendous closing stretch and finished really, really powerfully. And that's what I'm going to choose to remember about this. Because of that, I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job here. I've seen some pretty negative stuff about this one, and here I am again on the other side of the majority. But I actually really enjoyed this. Would I have liked to have seen it cut down? Sure. But it's funny. I was texting another group of people too, and we were sort of reminiscing about our backyard wrestling days. And I was like, what they need here is like Edge needs to drop an F-bomb like I did that one time. And then like 30 seconds later, there it was. I was like, yeah, there we go, like ready. I like it. So I think the closing stretch of this just was really powerful, and so I think that made it for me. It wasn't maybe the match that the instant classic that we were all anticipating, but I think it was still very memorable and very good. I think they could have just tightened it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, first things first, I thought it was interesting when they went to the back in the gym area, the performance center, and I was amazed. Yeah, they had everything cleaned up after the Tommaso Ciampa Johnny Gargano brawl from a few weeks ago on one of the last live episodes with the crowd of NXT. So I was like, wow, they got everything cleaned up, but then I was like, oh man, they're about to destroy everything again. Like, imagine if you're the janitor or the cleaning crew, you're like, oh man, not again. But I will admit, without the crowd, I think them using the whole performance center to their advantage really helped this match because, okay, one, you don't have a crowd to play to. So it's like, all right, well, let's fill the time by just walking all over the entire performance center and using that as one giant weapon. So I think that was a smart move as far as the storytelling in this match. It's like, okay, it's like we don't have to stay in the ring. There's no one to play to other than the commentators and the cameraman. So let's go over the performance center and really tell a grudge match, a street fight type match in this gym, and use all the facilities to this brawl. And that's where I think it worked, as far as them, going to like where the weights are at, and like the straps, and like hitting each other and the chairs, and then going down the hall. And so I was like, okay, this is a smart move, or an audible, the fact they're not in front of a crowd. This is a good way to at least show the grudge. I'm with you though. I wish they would have done more talking to one another throughout the match. I think sometimes it was a little quiet, and there were times you could tell they were kind of like calling out spots in this match. I think they were trying to be creative on the fly and like do different things. So I think like when Randy Orton was in the chair and then Edge jumped up and jumped onto the chair from one of the poles, I thought, okay, that's cool. It looked like they probably called that right there in the moment to do it. But I thought this match easily could have shaven off like 10 minutes and still would have been fine, or just been tighter. Yeah, it was a little bit slow build in some parts.
It was during this match that my security protecting my undisclosed location came out and asked, "Are you watching porn?" So, yeah, there was a lot of man noises going on.
But like, I think
a couple of Tiger Kings rolling around with one.
But Randy Orton, let me ask you this: talking to the ref, do you think Randy Orton was kind of shooting a bit and be like telling the ref like, "Hey, start counting"?
No. I think that was all. I think that was all just in the moment storytelling stuff.
Okay. But I'm with you. I did enjoy them like using all the performance center as one big weapon for like, okay, what's around me? I can use it. And like, okay, I see this chair here. All right, I see a weight bar. I'm gonna use this, or a weight here, or oh, here's a truck. Let's jump on this truck. So I thought they used the performance center to make this match somewhat different and unique from everything else from the night.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I really enjoyed it. The only critique I have, they didn't talk enough crap. It suffered from the lack of crowd, and it was a little too long. But other than that, they told a great story. I loved how it started. I loved how it finished, and that's that. The Raw Tag Team Championship match. The Street Profits defeated Angel Garza and Austin Theory, and that's about all I have to say about it. Because I mean, this was not a WrestleMania match. I'm happy for the Street Profits and Montez Ford especially, who I think is going to be a big star again. The Street Profits are great. Looking beyond that, I see just so much personality and charisma dripping off of Montez Ford that I see a lot of big things for him. So all well and good that you get a win at WrestleMania, but in my opinion, there was no real reason to care about this match.
Yeah, I was interested. I would love to know, real talk, like why Austin Theory was brought into this. I mean, if Andrade has a legit injury, was Austin Theory there because he's been filming stuff?
Well, according to WWE continuity, shouldn't have this just been a singles match?
Yeah, or something, or
according to their rules.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, with Morrison, but the night before, it's like, I just thought it was kind of odd they just threw Austin Theory in the mix. And like, I mean, for him, this is a great spotlight because he was most recently the Evolve champion, and he finally got signed to NXT, and he's been appearing on NXT TV off and on since the holidays. So for him, in less than 4 months, 4 months since he's been getting called up, he's on WrestleMania weekend now. I'm like, that's awesome for him personally in his career. But I mean, I think for a lot of the fans, they don't know too much about him. I mean, unless you watch NXT and know about his work in Evolve, you're like, who is this guy? But nonetheless, for him personally, it was awesome. I will admit, I was a little bit worried because remember, was it last Raw where Montez Ford jumped out of the ring and Austin Theory wasn't there to catch him, and he hit splat on his back on the ground really hard. This time around, he did it again, and you could see Angelo Dawkins and Austin Theory like literally they woke up and like we're on the same page. Like, we got to catch him, make sure he doesn't hurt himself again.
Elias was fine. Montez was fine.
But I will admit, just to touch, I know we didn't actually have a chance to talk about that moment on our regular episodes, but Seth Rollins has said like he missed the spot. He was supposed to actually trip Montez Ford. If you watch that, he grabbed his leg but missed, but he was supposed to grab him, trip him. So Montez Ford in the moment just kept running jump down. That's why Austin Theory wasn't ready to catch him, because that was not supposed to happen. So to defend Austin Theory a little bit, and some of the guys were defending Austin Theory, was like it wasn't necessarily his fault. So but nonetheless, they did the spot again, and just Angelo Dawkins and Austin Theory were like just standing there waiting to catch him. So they were very much alert this time around. But yeah, the match was short and sweet. It felt like just something you would see on an episode of Raw.
It's definitely short. I just don't really think it had any business being on WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to cut something, that could easily been it. But hey, it's the Raw tag titles. You got to get them on there, apparently. I mean, that's their mindset, it looks like. But yeah, moving forward, I hope Austin Theory uses this opportunity to get the big push maybe on NXT. He's like, hey, being the cocky guy that he is, can come on NXT next time around and be like, hey, I just participated in WrestleMania. I'm the hottest thing on NXT now. So I think moving forward, that could be something that NXT can benefit from.
The SmackDown Women's Championship elimination match. No Dana Brooke, sadly. I would have loved for her to have been involved. I love Dana Brooke. And, really another casualty of this WrestleMania was any chance of there being some sort of Dana Brooke, Dave Bautista WrestleMania moment here. And so that to me is the real tragedy. But we had the champion Bayley. I fully expected Sasha Banks to win this. I was pulling for Lacey Evans, but I thought it was sort of a lock that would be Sasha. No. Bayley successfully defends with the help of Sasha Banks. What did you think?
Yeah, this match was it kind of played out pretty much how I thought it was going to be. I was really surprised how long it went, but then again, it had 5 competitors, so everyone had their moment to shine. Yeah, I was kind of thinking Lacey Evans, because before, the whole coronavirus stuff and live TV went away, but Lacey Evans was being kind of booked as more of a babyface in recent times. So just thinking WrestleMania, babyfaces usually win a title. I was kind of thinking this might be Lacey Evans' moment to win something, and then use that as a way to divide Bayley and Sasha Banks. Be like, oh, you cost me the title, and oh, we hate each other now. We're gonna have a new rivalry against each other. But I thought maybe Bayley was gonna, or Sasha was gonna get a pin over Bayley, and that could lead to maybe a SummerSlam matchup or vice versa. So it was kind of interesting how it played out, as far as Sasha was getting mad at Bayley, and then ultimately Bayley pushed Lacey Evans, and Lacey Evans threw a punch at Sasha, which ultimately eliminated her. So I thought it's interesting, but then Sasha came back out to help her. So it'd be interesting how they're gonna tell this story of they're gonna maintain some what's the word I'm looking for, tension between the two.
Well, so I think that's definitely they're still building towards that, but I like that they didn't rush into it. And I thought that the match was really solid. It was better than I expected, to be honest, with having that many people in it. And I thought it was a really good showcase for Lacey. I didn't think that, in her last, singles title match with Bayley, she really showed out as well as she could. I thought she did here. So I thought, even though she didn't go home with the championship, I thought it was a really strong performance for her, and I was happy to see that because I'm a big Lacey Evans fan.
She's improving.
So that was really good. She's got one of the best characters, bar none, in WWE. So it was good to see her build on that in the ring as well. Now we have to talk about, I think, what will probably be, much like the Boneyard match was the most talked about match last night in night 1 of WrestleMania 36. In night 2, the Firefly Funhouse match with The Fiend and John Cena was, going into this, another sort of reason I was looking at the Boneyard match, I was like, oh, man, well, I kind of, expected the Firefly Funhouse to be like this, so is it just going to feel like a redo? Ha! Well, I was sure wrong about that, and they found a way for it to be completely different, and about as different of anything as anybody has ever seen on WWE television. This was like an acid trip, a fever dream, just some type of drug-induced mania. It was walking in the mind of the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and it is similar to what I sort of would have wanted in his feud with Seth Rollins. When you go into his world, this is what happens to you. You lose yourself, and you are completely just sort of overtaken, mentally and psychically, by this entity. And I know it's totally off the wall and zany, and this is another one that I'm gonna give another rewatch. And But just right off the bat, like gut reaction, I enjoyed it. And I thought it was pretty much exactly what it needed to be in terms of just it was a diary of a madman, and I thought it was the Fiend getting his just revenge on John Cena. I loved all the callbacks to Cena's career and all the callbacks to WWE history.
Mhm.
I don't know. I dug it. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I really enjoyed it. I remember I know we watched in separate places, but I was watching in our living room and I was laying down. I actually popped up and sat up and made sure to watch this, like pay attention, because I'm like, okay, this is not your regular WrestleMania match. This is something different. It's a whole like another quote cinematic movie being played out here. So I was like paying very much close attention to this, but I I thought this whole match really played into who Bray Wyatt, the Fiend character, is, as far as the mind games aspect of what he does. And I'm like, this is perfect. This perfectly suits him. And yeah, I'm with you as far as they should have done this with Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins went to the Funhouse and like set it on fire.
And stupid.
But with that being said, like John Cena went there and it actually turned into a whole match in that setting. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is it. Like the Fiend, the Bray Wyatt character now, that's what he is. He's different. He's not just some monster that goes into the ring and wrestles. There's a lot more to it, a lot more there's a lot more layers to him now. And I think this match, hopefully, maybe kind of restarts who he is, and maybe moving forward, they can kind of use this momentum from this match and use it in other rivalries he might have or feuds coming up.
They did a good job with this in terms of it feeling actually sort of scary on behalf of John Cena, like the powerless situation that he was in. And we got to shout out the "you can look but you can't touch" from Bray Wyatt, referencing Nikki Bella's theme song, was just phenomenal work there. This was super creative. It hit all the right sort of fiendish notes in my opinion. And kudos to John Cena too for being willing to sort of go all in with something like this, because he's never done anything like this before. And
Vince McMahon.
And this is sort of exactly. And this, but for John, who's trying to go into his Hollywood career and everything, this is a sort of roll of the dice type match too, And I haven't really seen much reaction to this online about whether people actually liked it or not. They're certainly reacting to it. I think a lot of people don't know whether they liked it or not yet, because it was that different. But I got to give props to John for really committing to this and all of the just wackadoodle stuff they did in it. It was I liked it, and I think it fits the
puppet.
theme. Which one?
The Vince McMahon puppet making a return.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought, this is good shit. Making the air was hilarious. Like the fact that that Vince would sign off on all of that and just the match in general, but being willing to be sort of self-deprecating in that regard. Mm-hmm. This was really good in a lot of respects. Like It did feel like a WWE 2K sort of like the My Career mode when it goes into some of the crazy stuff that you do in that.
I was just going to say, but like Bray, the big thing in this match was like it's been like a build from the last 6 years, and how let's look at John Cena and his career. Like when Super Cena was taking off in the mid to late 2000s and all that he was dominating every match. So I'm glad that they kind of reference all that and touched on all his characters and his gimmicks and his retrospect of his career, and Bray tapping into that and acknowledging everything and like the flaws in that. And it's like, and then even Bray kind of acknowledging what he's been through as well. So I thought that was great psychology as far as the storytelling in this match. And but like I was just kind of curious what you thought about like the NWO and the Eric Bischoff stuff on Nitro. Like,
that was like a little bit more out of place, but but I didn't mind it, and they played it off well. And what I really liked too that was not necessarily in place was the Saturday night's main event stuff with the behind the cage sort of a la the Macho Man Randy Savage, the more Macho King, I guess at the time, was Sherry Martel type stuff. Those kinds of promos that they would do back then. I really, really enjoyed that stuff. If you're one of those people that needs to rate matches via star rating or whatever, it's never really been my thing, my cup of tea. This doesn't really go according to your rubric because there was no real match.
Mhm.
It was walking in the terrifying wonderland of the Fiend's mind, and then John Cena just getting beat down, and people are crediting Bray Wyatt with the victory here, which makes sense, all things considered. He counted his own pinfall and all that, but I do think that, one, this is no one's going to remember him losing to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia anymore after this, so that's a win.
Yeah.
And he squashed John Cena on the biggest stage in this really bizarre setting. And I think to sell it, you got to keep John off TV for a while, and when he does come back, maybe they reprise this and Fiend gets another big win or whatever they want to do. But I thought this was solid.
I was just gonna say, because I would think maybe Cena, whenever he does come back, he still has like post-traumatic stress from all of it. I think that could be kind of cool, and that's if they would have done this with Seth Rollins. I think for Seth, that could have been something really interesting for his character. I mean, I know the Monday Night Messiah thing is taking off now, but imagine him losing to the Fiend in the Funhouse, and like he has all this post-traumatic stress. Like, what the hell did I just go through? And he can't like wrap his mind around it, and he's like at a loss, and he's like suffering mentally from this, and it like sends him down this downward spiral that he has to rebuild himself literally again. And I thought that could have been, that's what I was hoping for last time around. Instead, we got Hell in a Cell and all that stuff. But anyway, with Cena, maybe they could kind of use it now for him, like keep him off TV for a while, and if he ever does come back in the near future, they can tap into that of like he's still really messed up from this, and that would help reinforce the Fiend as this crazy psychotic character that if you mess with him, you're going to be effed up for a long time, and it's going to take a long time for you to recover, if any. So that's what I'm hoping for. I think this, like you said, I think this is a great restart to the Fiend character as far as booking him strong. And as far as I think a lot of people want him to be like the next Undertaker, I think this is a good way of, quote, using supernatural stuff in 2020. This type of scenario plays perfectly for that.
The main event of WrestleMania 36, it was our guy Drew McIntyre and also our guy Brock Lesnar vying for the WWE Championship here in the main event of WrestleMania 36. And I'm happy for Drew. They pulled the trigger, and Drew McIntyre did in fact defeat Brock Lesnar. I really did not enjoy this match. I think that if they had tried to do this match in front of a live crowd, they would have crapped all over it. I think they would have crapped over Drew kicking out of the F5 at 1, much like they did of Diesel kicking out of the Sweet Chin at 1 at WrestleMania 11. This was just, it was not good. It was eerily similar to the Braun and Goldberg match from the night before. It in my opinion, made Goldberg, or excuse me, it made Brock Lesnar look kind of goofy, which you never want to do. Love him or hate him, Brock Lesnar is one of the most special big box office attractions that WWE has ever had. Certainly their biggest one currently. You can argue for Ronda Rousey if she was around, but she's not. And so I didn't love the finisher fest. I hate, it wasn't really a match. Like, again, you can get away with it to a certain extent with Goldberg because that's sort of like the persona he's built up. Give me more suplexes and less F5s. Give me a Kimura lock. Drew McIntyre has other stuff that he can do. Can we actually have a match here? Yeah. This was, in my opinion, not good. And it does a disservice to the Brock Lesnar entity for him to have a match like this, because he's just F5. It's the F5 goes from being like really well protected to being not protected at all, and so like I hated that. And then he's doling out all this punishment, and then Drew just gets back up and claymores him like 3 more times, and that's all she wrote. I was not thrilled with how this was laid out. I'm happy for Drew. I hope he has a long, successful run. I hope that they stay with him and it makes it worth their while that they are anointing him here in this moment. But the match itself was not one that I think they could have done a better service to both guys involved to set them up for success in the future, because that's another issue I had with Seth at WrestleMania 35. I don't think that match set Seth up for success in the future in terms of how they wanted to, quote, slay the beast. So, yeah, I think they could have done better.
Yeah, well, okay, well, first things first. For all of you listening right now, make sure you go back and listen to our interview with Drew McIntyre. He did say we're his lucky charm. So I'm glad we're 2 for 2. Whenever we talk to Drew McIntyre, he wins the big match of the night. So thumbs up to us. Our pat ourselves on the back for that. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I was kind of hoping the two of them were going to work a little bit more and work a good match. And it was, as you said, it was just like finisher versus finisher over and over. And I'm like, okay, you guys are kicking out of each other's finishers. It's like, what else? There's not a lot of substance to this match. And so I'm like, okay. Like, I'm happy for Drew. And I think it makes sense now, like, as far as the amount of press he's been doing for the last few weeks for this, for WrestleMania. And they have the special on the WWE Network about him, and just everything surrounding Drew. It like, okay, that's a sign that they were going to put the title on him. So I'm so happy for him. Long time coming. They really were emphasizing that 11 years ago, Vince McMahon said he was going to be the chosen one, a future world champion. And even though he was champion in NXT and other places, he's never won the WWE title. So I'm so happy he finally has achieved the one thing missing in his career. So, but with that being said, yeah, the match itself kind of forgettable in that sense, as far as, yeah, finisher versus finisher. I don't know what happens next. I mean, does Brock stay off TV for a while now? Does Drew now, like you said, I hope he gets a nice lengthy run with this, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happens next now. I guess, yeah. How does Brock Lesnar recover from this?
I don't know. And it just I think Brock will probably be gone for a little bit. And the good thing about Brock Lesnar is that he's shown ability to be rebuilt fairly quickly. You know, even after his debacle with Seth, he comes back, he wins Money in the Bank out of nowhere. You know, and gets the championship back. You know, and granted, he lost again then to Seth, but he definitely has shown the ability to be rebuildable. But I just wouldn't have knocked it down in the first place in this way. I have no problem with Brock Lesnar losing, but have him lose an actual match. He's this unbeatable beast until he's a very beatable beast. And that just doesn't go with me. So unfortunate that the match didn't really deliver, but you know, big moment for Drew McIntyre, very big moment for him, and hopefully he has a successful reign and you know, can be
I was just gonna say, what do you think of the actual ending? Because remember, Drew, when he talked to us, he said, when we asked him about if he does win the WWE Championship, do you think it's gonna be at how would you say, Jimbo, like a little bit bittersweet because it's not from actual fans. So, like, would his moment be a little bit tarnished?
What he said, too, was that, you know, fans are going to get sort of more of a look into what it's like when they, you know, go back to their hotel room and celebrate. And I feel like we got a little bit more of that from Drew than anybody else. It makes sense because he's the one that said it. So we definitely got sort of a window into his emotions in winning the championship. And I do think that it's a huge, huge deal for him. And, you know, there's that adage in wrestling that, you know, winning your first world championship, or certainly one that you covet the most, is about as real as it gets in wrestling. And I don't think there's no more real in wrestling than winning your first WWE championship. That sort of being passed the ball and passed the torch in that sense is about as real as it is. So I do think we got a little bit of a window into that, and that's pretty rad.
Well, I was just gonna say, I liked when he like reached to the camera and as if, you know, reaching to us at home, because he knows there's no one in attendance. It's just everyone at home watching him in this moment. So that's his way of kind of, I think, connecting with the WWE universe. And when he said thank you, you know, he mouthed thank you to the camera. So I thought that was really cool. And it was just like, he knows this is such a unique and odd situation that we're all living through right now. So I think for him, kind of playing into that, I think it was very cool. And so I think, if anything, the moment in time here of capturing that was very powerful. And so I'm very happy for him in that sense, that he was able to do that. And at least hopefully for him, that's his way of really taking in the moment. And then even if you look at his Instagram, he posted a screenshot of him reaching out to the camera before he said thank you. So I think that's really cool. And so I'm really happy for Drew and really curious to see what he can do with it now. I hope he just goes on a tear all throughout this summer.
Which night did you enjoy more, Mr. Baby Huey?
Man, now, okay. Before we were recording, I said night one. I just maybe because man, like night one, like definitely had a lot of.
To me, I enjoyed tonight more. And that is saying that I think that WrestleMania was a smashing success this year and was way better. It was way better than it had any business being.
Yes.
But they did a phenomenal job defying expectations and defying a horrible set of circumstances that they found themselves in. But overall, I think tonight felt more like WrestleMania.
Yeah. And I think I was really surprised how many title changes happened this weekend. And I was kind of, I think I said either.
But which was your favorite? Which night did you enjoy more, Baby Huey?
Actually, let me ask you this: which video or which pre-tape match did you like better, Boneyard or Bray Wyatt's match?
Oh, Firefly Funhouse, easily for me. I thought it was because they leaned fully into it and committed to one tone and one style. Okay. And they just went with it, and it was so much more unique. It wasn't copying anybody else's style so much as it was them just letting Bray be Bray. So I thought the Firefly Funhouse match was more was the better one. Better. They both were their own thing, but I enjoyed the Funhouse.
Okay, and then out of the two title changes
tonight,
Braun Strowman,
tonight, even as like much as I didn't like how it was laid out, tonight still was better than Goldberg and Braun. And again, the Rhea Ripley and Charlotte match was so good. And just I think again, both nights were good, and it's part of one WrestleMania. But I think they picked overall the right ones to be on night two to sort of close out. And I enjoyed the last man standing match, and that was the match that I was looking forward to most coming into it. We got Otis and Mandy Rose kissing tonight. To me, I'll take night two.
Yeah, night two. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm just thinking it over some more. Yeah, night two definitely was the better out of the two. But overall, fun weekend. And I hope moving forward they keep doing this. Make it 2 nights. I enjoyed the 2-night aspect of it. I enjoy WrestleMania night 1, night 2, Stephanie McMahon making an appearance both nights at the beginning to kick off the show. I enjoy the feel of it. So hopefully next year in LA, they keep it going and do 2 nights. I don't know how like NXT TakeOver plays into all of this. Maybe make that Friday night, but then what about SmackDown? I don't know. But I hope moving forward they make it 2 nights. That's what I'm hoping for. I really enjoyed the 2-night aspect. And sure, what Wrestle Kingdom did it as well, but who cares? Let WWE do it as well and keep it going like that. I'm all for it.
I think, we were talking, before we started recording about what WWE might have learned from this weekend. And, I've been an advocate for it to move to 2 nights because, on the heels of last year's WrestleMania, that was about as long as you could get and expect a crowd to stay through it. And I do think it was a well-paced WrestleMania. But this was so much better having a night to, two separate nights to sort of take a breather, reset, and let's go out and do it again. And I think they'll find that it's another revenue stream for them. It's a way to sell. You could do a 2-for-1 deal, whatever type of package that you get both nights, or maybe some people, if you say ahead of time what match is going to be on which night, maybe you sell certain tickets that way. I just think there's a lot of different avenues for that. And so I do think that 2 nights is the way to go. I know there's some logistical stuff with that, but I thought it really worked well. Another thing is if they learned anything from this, or not necessarily learn, but re-embrace your creativity and your ability to think outside the box. I think this was a testament to what they are capable of when they are put to the fire and have to come through the other side, because they did a phenomenal job. And so I hope that they take heart in that and they speak up more. They say their mind. You know, if you have ideas, get them out there, because the end result can be something incredibly memorable.
Yeah, I was just gonna say also like something that I've really enjoyed in the last few weeks on Raw and SmackDown without no crowd there. At least the wrestlers speaking more from the heart. It feels like with their promos, and at least it sounds like it's more passionate, and they're actually talking to the camera. I know it's kind of forbidden in a live crowd. You just talk looking at the crowd, not look at the camera. But I enjoy when the wrestlers look into the camera and looking to all of us, millions of people around the world watching their event. And I enjoyed that aspect. So hopefully maybe that's something they could tap into more as far as a build, especially if it's like a really of a grudge rivalry or something like that. And yeah, I'm with you. The creativity, it's like, okay, you can maybe get away with maybe an off-site type match that's pre-recorded somewhere, and if it's done well enough, it can really, I think, entertain the crowd. And also be, I don't know, maybe call it like an intermission, but depending, how long WrestleMania is, wherever you place it, it could be a good way for people to kind of relax and just watch it on the big screen and then get amped up for the next match. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things from this weekend that they could take and moving forward can reuse, recycle for future WrestleManias or even other pay-per-views that they do. So I think this weekend, as you said, they made the best of it. They made it very entertaining for all of us at home, and I'm glad the show went on. Even though part of me still wish maybe they could have postponed it and done it in front of a crowd when the time was right, when the real world events have all gone away and the lockdown's gone. But I think this weekend for all of us at home watching, it was another reminder why we love wrestling. It's just thank you WWE for putting on the show, and it kept us entertained for 2 days straight. And I think there's a lot of good from this that they can use moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. I think that's the number one takeaway from this, is that while it would have been nice to sort of be able to postpone it for certain wrestlers' moments in front of crowds and everything like that, I look at it, WWE made a call to push forward and the show must go on, and they gave us a hell of a weekend for that. And, I am very grateful to have had the entertainment and to be able to escape and just enjoy pro wrestling over not one but 2 nights. We didn't even mention Gronk winning the 24/7 championship, but we can talk about that another time. But they provided some really great entertainment. They showed a lot of creativity in what they can do. I think this was a win across the board for WWE and for wrestling fans, and it was a very sort of uniting weekend for a lot of people. It was fun being on Twitter and watching so many people tweeting about watching WrestleMania and their thoughts on it. It was fun being a part of multiple text threads, just reacting to match after match. It felt like in the midst of all this social distancing, it brought us all in the wrestling community closer together again. It was a lot of fun, and I'm appreciative. I'm very grateful for that. But, this has been a very special couple of nights, and thank you all for listening. For Baby Huey, I'm Bimbo Jimbo, and remember, if you're not in the Kliq, see ya, and I wouldn't want to be ya.